The Bay Area real estate market for single family homes is approaching all-time record highs. But is that sustainable, and will we see that moving forward? I'm going to be showing you the stats and the data as to how things have occurred over the last few months, where we are likely to be, and if you are a buyer or seller, what you need to be mindful of in terms of how you want to make your decision. My name is Spencer Sue. In the last year itself, we've helped over 60 families with their moves, and every week we are jumping on a strategy call with people just like you that are watching this video to go over a game plan. So if this is of interest to you, my contact details are below. Let's get at it. Now, let's first talk about the things that influence the Bay Area market. Right, number one is about mortgage rates. Mortgage rates, though, I don't think it's going to be factoring the Bay Area real estate market for a long time, because the fact is this: if you pull back from November of 2022 till now, it's been in this kind of similar range. Right, best case it went to 6%, worst case it went to near 8%, and it kind of fluctuates between this range now between 6 to 7%, depending on how the investors and the mood swings. Now, that being said, there are many banks right now, especially for these larger purchases, which are jumbo loans here in the Bay Area, that they're still very, very attractive. So you think about banks like Wells Fargo, super competitive right now. They can get you in the rates in the mid to low fives today. So if you see it publicly at 6.5%, they can probably get by 1% or less than what the median is showing publicly. So that's a good news for those. Take advantage of that, because they are very, 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 very aggressive to try to win back market share in the Bay Area. Now, let's talk about the housing market, right? So what's been going on with the housing prices? Take a look at the single family homes. I'm going to be doing at a later video of condos and townhomes, because they're going through a completely different number, and I'm going to go into that in more detail later on. But for single family homes in Alameda, Contra Costa, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara County, as a blend, March ended at $1.575 million. Now, how does that compare to the previous years? You can see from a March perspective, it is all-time records, right? This is higher than the last several years, and the previous highs were back in 2022. Now, when you look at this, you may assume that things maybe continue to inch upwards. But the big difference that we see this time around I don't think it's going to be inching upwards like before, for many different reasons. And the reasons are this: it has been incredibly competitive for all of the buyers I've been working with before, but I don't think you're going to have this kind of large jump. I mean, take a look at this. This is 10% increase from the last month, which is nearly also 8% increase over the previous month. If you do this math, right, I mean, this is 1575. If you saw a home that sold in January or in December, and you do that delta, that's the equivalent of 16%. 16% means you're looking in completely different neighborhoods that you were looking at before, right? So this is something really insightful and important to be mindful of, depending on when those homes sold and what you need to expect. Now, I don't think prices will drop either, but they may maintain a similar level, if not a slight increase. So you really got to kind of weigh towards what has occurred in March to see what will happen, at least for the April figures. Now, the reason why I feel like it's not going to continue to increase so drastically is, even though there's more and more buyers that are getting off the fence, they're making their moves, we have a few potential headwinds up ahead of us. We have Trump's tariffs, so we'll see what happens with that. Does that become prolonged or become a trade war? You can see the general stock market. The general stock market actually has not dropped that much now. If you look at even the NASDAQ, for the last month, it dropped by 5%, right? There's a big decrease from mid-February. That's about 13%. So it's been less than half of that. If you've been more conservative investing in the S&P market, you can see it's been 3.7%. So this is not like mind-blowing things, the world is ending or anything like that. But the biggest thing that is now a factor is the number of actually new listings that has hit the market, right? Take a look at this stat. This is the number of new homes that are hitting the market every month. And see how all of these numbers compare to the previous years. This number now is already, it's a little bit lower than a really busy time of 2022. So 2022 was a really, really, really busy time, by the way. So if I pull it back so you can see the data itself, if I go back to even 2020, 2021, look at this. Right, these numbers are only 10% off a very, very, very busy time of low rates, high activity, 2021, 2022. But it's way higher than what you saw of last year, right? And so this has become a very meaningful impact. I mean, take a look at this. The amount of new listings coming on is just staggering. I mean, these are like 30% increase, 25% increase across the board year over year. So this is helping a lot more buyers with more options, so they may not have to be as aggressive when it comes to buying a place. Now, this is happening all throughout the Bay. So all counties are experiencing the same things. We're going to be going over momentarily, like, are there specific counties that are doing far better than others, because this is the median count. Now, the other thing that's very important is the number of sales, right? So if you compare the number of sales, now be mindful, the number of sales is a laggard, right? So when it actually is a sale in March, it's actually from a transaction that got in contract, usually in February. So it's all a little bit of a laggard. But if you look at the volume-wise, the interesting part is the absorption of these numbers is not that, like you saw only a 10% difference from new listings that you saw from 2022, 2021, right? But you can see there's a big difference between how many are actually being sold relative to that time. So this is going to provide a lot of relief for those that are wanting to make the move, either from selling a condo or townhome into a single family, or renting and into a single family. That's going to be one of the benefits, where it's going to be a lot smoother. I don't know if prices will necessarily decline, but this will certainly all help the buyers figure out the decision, but also be able to see more options, because you can see it's in a big shift and it's a big benefit for buyers to be able to compete with less people. Now, what this also means is for sellers, you have to be mindful and be okay with, like, look, don't expect those price growth to just keep happening over the last few months, right? The last 2 months has increased 16%. Now, that number isn't like necessarily high, because the winter times are always the least amount anyways, but it is something to be mindful of moving forward. Like, don't expect that kind of growth, like that kind of month over month increase. Like, be very lucky if you're able to sell similar to a neighbor that sold a month ago. All right, just be mindful of that. Now, the difference though is not all counties are the same. So I want to break it down by all the major counties here in the area. So if you look at like Santa Clara County, take a look at this though. Take a look at this stat. The Santa Clara County though, for single family homes, is at 2.125 million. The difference of what you saw from those other charts before is this is an all-time record, right? So why is this still happening when the median was less than the others? This is happening because commute. It's only that reason. There is no other reason that you can even think about, because why would an area do so much better than other places? It's because, one, the commute, people needing to go back to the office. Number two, it's also because of these companies are the ones that are still paying a lot of money, and they are still certainly, a lot of their stocks, even though they have declined, are still doing really, really well. That's why it explains, look at this. There is no other stat that you can see that it gets this number, right? 2.125 is the all-time record. So if you were thinking about selling a place in Santa Clara County, you can't argue, like, what else are you waiting for, right? If you're planning to do it in the immediate time, like, how much more can you expect or want when you are at all-time records? And if you look at the previous month, the previous high was in May of 2024, right? And you're still another 5% on top of that. And so it just shows like how strong the Santa Clara County market is. Now, the other place that's pretty close by, let's see if San Mateo County is experiencing similar things. San Mateo County right now is at 2.062 million. It isn't the all-time record highs, but it's still doing very well. Not as hot as Santa Clara County, as you can see, but still very, very strong. Now, let's take a look at San Francisco. How is San Francisco doing? Are people actually selling back into the homes out there? If you take a look at this right now, they're at $1.907 million. $1.9 million. That's higher than all of last year. That's higher than all of 2023. And that's very comparative to many of the highest price in 2022. So San Francisco is clearly recovering and clearly doing very, very well. So something to be mindful of there as you compete and decide on making offers there. Now, as you saw, there are some counties that are doing better and there are some that are not doing so well. So let's try to figure out where are the places that are not doing as well. So Alameda County, look at this, $1.36 million. This is lower than some of the things of last year. It is higher than 2023, which almost everything is higher than 2023. But you can see it's still lower than the 2022 numbers. So Alameda County has not fared as well. But the catch is Alameda County is also very, very big, right? So places in Alameda County can range from a Fremont all the way up north. Versus it also can go across the hill, which is east. Right now, the traffic is really, really bad in places from Tri-Valley to the other side of the hill, if not to get San Mateo County or Santa Clara County. And so for this reason, a lot of people are also making their move. They got to sell for whatever it may be, and they got to make the move. So so Alameda County has not fared well for that reason, as you can evidently see. But people got to move for life reasons. It's not all financials, right? People got to figure it out. Look, this is our total portfolio is better. Yes, this one particular asset class is not doing as well. Got to get over it, right? Because the trend is completely one way. So people are making that move and making that judgment call. So the places like a Fremont, Newark, Union City, still competitive, still multiple offers. Nothing crazy though, but still up there versus places that are on the Tri-Valley. As you can evidently see, they are being impacted, right? And then let's wrap some things up with like Contra Costa County in terms of like what you can expect there. You can take a look at this, $902,000. So it's doing okay. It hasn't hit like the peak of the previous year or 2022. Similar kind of situation there. But it's still, as you can see, all of them are going to be certainly higher. But you can see across the board that's very common when you have lower numbers and lower home sales in a December, January timeframe. So that's something just to be mindful of in terms of what you can expect right now, what you can expect moving forward. Now, like I said, the good news right now for a buyer is that you do have a lot more options. Things are still moving quickly though. So take a look at this. And it also depends on where you look at. So it's really, really important to have the right strategy and have the right mentality, because while I just showed the entire Bay, I also showed specific regions that were applicable. But even if I add all those 5 counties together, if you look at the median days to sell, what is the length of time? So you can still see the median days to sell is still very quick. Now it depends on the home itself. Most of them is going to be a 1 week turnaround, but it gives you an idea of like what to still expect. Like good homes will always keep moving forward, but the slight benefit is that you'll have less bidders because some of those buyers, remember, there's only one winner for a house. So a lot of those buyers that want a house, they're off the market, which is good. And as you have a lot of good new listings come around, and unless the buyer side jumps significantly, you're gonna get shots, right? And you're gonna get more opportunities to win places. And so that's the really core messaging about it. Don't expect like massive discounts, but I wouldn't be expecting any massive growths either. Things are a lot more stabilized, which it seems like will probably be the case for the next few months. And then we'll see what happens when it rolls into summertime. For the seller side, if you saw a home sell for a higher price in the last few months, you may have to temper expectations. Maybe it's a little bit lower. And that's okay. I mean, look at these numbers. Some of these numbers are still some of the highest it has ever been, right? So that's just important to factor just mentally, but it just depends on your ultimate goals. Like if this is the right time for you guys to move, maybe it's from capital reasons, maybe it's for you want to split the money, maybe you're retiring, maybe you want to get out of being a landlord. There's all sorts of personal reasons that people are doing it. Like some of our clients recently, they're selling their townhomes, their condos into buying a single family, or they're selling a rental property so they can increase their budget to buy a better single family. So all of those things are happening right now, and so it really depends on your own personal goals. The market is fortunately good on both sides, right? You can't be like, oh, the world is ending, or there's nobody buying. It's neither of them, right? It's clearly just chumming along. But the good part with a lot more listings is that there's just a lot more transactions. There's a lot more things for people to see. But that also brings you to the other question. If you're still not seeing homes that can work, then that's a problem, right? Because this is like nearly fully recovered from normal times. So if you're not seeing a lot of homes every week, like at least touring 4+ homes a week, it probably means you're not looking in the right area. So potentially shift to the neighboring cities, expand to other areas, change your parameters. Could be price range, could be size, could be locations. Like these are all different things that you can tweak to then really see a lot more. And that's the simplicity of it all. If you found this video helpful, my contact details are below, and I'd love to go over a strategy call. Once again, every single week, I'm doing multiple of these calls from people just like you that are finding me on YouTube. So reach down below. Let's go over a game plan. We can go over your best options, decide whether right now or the future is the best time for you. I look forward to help you. See you next time. Bye now.